Welcome everybody back to the Veteran Influencers Podcast. I appreciate each and every one of you guys always showing your support. I see a lot of day ones in here that are, always commenting and sharing out the feed to make sure we get the most attention possible. And so as you guys know that with every podcast that we have, we always have a special guest. And today the special guest, I actually met him while I was on the drill field, and I was there from about 2010 to 2014. He's no longer active duty, but obviously he was at the time. And to me, he stuck out because he was always taking the time to mentor other drill instructors, especially the ones that were just getting there. And he had so much knowledge. The way he moved, like, it's crazy. Like, to this day, like, I've never seen somebody move so fast in my life. Like, the guy was always intense, never stopped moving, rain, shine. I remember one day we were walking, he was marching his platoon through, I think we were going to like clothing or something like that. Or Sato, and he had like his Charlies were all muddy, like his pants were just like covered in mud, and it just didn't faze him whatsoever. And I just loved it. That was the epitome of just who he was. Constantly intense, always soaked from screaming and running around, always setting the example what it was to be a Marine. And not only that, but he didn't allow that place to change who he was. Always had a great heart, just a great person in general. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend, my brother from another mother, Hugo Frausto.
Oh man, dude, you with that intro, man, over here trying to hype me up more than I am, man.
No, not at all. Listen, we only tell the truth here on this podcast. Man. That's all we do is tell the truth.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we definitely met you at a time in life where things were definitely really chaotic, and just the struggle was real there, because for us as the new guys, you didn't get love from anybody. It was just a matter of, do you have work ethic, and that's it, So, and I would see a lot of guys come in, and the whole mentoring thing is just, I always wish someone would have given me some type of feedback, or some kind of, hey, let me take you under my wing and help you. The company that we went to, it was the Hat Slayer company. They were known for that. So, there wasn't always a lot of love going on. So that's why I always try to do a little something to help other people out.
I'm assuming that background behind you it's not a real background, right? Did you set it?
Virtual.
Hey, I see. I thought I was the only one, baby.
No, man, no. I gotta do it like this for work, the Zoom meetings.
Right.
I'm always on Zoom meetings, so I gotta have something, My kids are crazy. They run around in the background, and, right here they stay incognito. It's like putting up a curtain. They can't see anything behind me, So
gotta have something in the stash.
Yeah, exactly, man. They could be taking naps behind me, or my wife could be back there sleeping too, and no one can see it,
Man, the whole house is napping, huh?
As a matter of fact, they're all back there taking naps right now, man.
Nice. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Hey, as long as we don't get too loud, I guess. But so also in the beginning of the session, before we actually get started with the live story, typically people are always putting comments. I hear Malik Trotter saying that he's back at work. Hey, first donation of the day. My boy Emac. This guy's been following me since Twitch. We play Call of Duty a lot together. I try to reach out to a lot of different streams, and I'm on Twitch as well. And I always see him, and he always comes through with a donation. Hey, Emac, I appreciate the love, brother, man. Same here. Change the cycle. Absolutely. That's awesome. That's a great way to get started. And I appreciate each and every one of you guys just for all your support, comments. And if you guys do have comments or questions throughout the time that we're actually doing the podcast, feel free to put it down there. And if it's for Hugo, obviously he's got his phone next to him. He can let me know when there's like a cut time. He can read the question. And if I see it and there's a cut time, then I'll go over the question as well. Other than that, sit back and enjoy the show. Hey, so let's get started. You know what I'm saying? Hey, what's going on? I mean, I want to start from the beginning, because in the intro, I spoke a little bit about who Sergeant Frausto was on the drill field. I didn't really know you before. I've known you afterwards, because I feel like we've done a pretty good job of keeping in touch. Not every day, but it enough. And I know we've been trying to meet up to go over some stuff before I actually leave, which we still need to do. Obviously, the coronavirus thing kind of threw that off, but we're going to make sure that happens. But I want to kind of, for the first bit, I want to kind of paint a picture of who Hugo Frausto was from like the younger age prior to the Marine Corps, kind of like growing up childhood. Then I want to kind of go into prior to the Marine Corps, in the Marine Corps, transitioning and afterwards, and then who you are as an entrepreneur and like when that whole phase started, when you knew you wanted to be one. So before we MC from the great work, brother, always good. Hey, appreciate the donation, man. You guys are already on it. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate the love. So so baby Hugo, I want to know about baby Hugo.
Baby Hugo. Yeah, man. I mean, dude, I've grown up, ever since I was little. Like I kind of had already even though my obviously my parents weren't in the military, they're immigrants that came from Mexico.
Okay.
We typically, we moved around quite a bit, because my dad would get a better job, he'd go somewhere else, and he always had that mentality that like, I'm gonna do what I can to improve my situation and improve my family situation. So he would, he would take jobs and we would go different places, so I kind of got into that, used to that cycle of like, all right, we're gonna be here for a little bit and we're waiting for dad to pick up that next rank or that next level, and then we're gonna go to the next spot, and so I grew up in a typical Mexican family. I got 3 other brothers. I love those guys to death, and growing up, I wasn't always like that, I wasn't the type of person that I am today. I was always messing around in school, I would play sports, but I wasn't really like that athletically gifted type, I was
What was
always
your
just
sport of
real.
choice?
I did wrestling and football,
Oh
and
snap!
yeah,
Okay.
man, yeah. I mean, I like, dude. I'll be honest with you, man. I freaking sucked at wrestling. Like, it was rough. You know what I mean?
A lot of people do when
But
they start.
yeah, man. But because I started in high school. I started right off the bat freshman
Okay.
year, and I was just like, I was really like I was really drawn to it because it was challenging. Like, you really had to give it. You had to give it your all, and it was only you. There was no team around, and it was just, however good you did, there was always room for improvement. But it was all on how much you could drive yourself, and it really measured how much heart a person had. And so I was always drawn to that. And then, when I was a junior in high school, the whole 9/11 thing happened, and
Wow.
that started to shift my perspective as far as like, man, I felt kind of a sense of duty of wanting to be, to do something about what had just happened, with the country, with the attacks, with everything. And so I had started talking to one of the recruiters, and
Hold on one quick before we go too far up,
yeah, yeah,
because I want to make sure we paint, because we got a good amount of time to paint the segment of you prior to, and believe me, we're gonna have so much time to go over that, and I'm
yeah,
so interested in it. So you said that you wrestled and you started while you were in high school.
yeah.
Like how far did you get with that? And then when did you start football? And like how far along did you actually get with that?
Oh, so my you know I started with both in my freshman year.
Okay.
Growing up when I was younger, never really played sports at all. Never did it. Any type of like organized sports. Obviously, I would play with my brothers. We'd go to the park, play with other kids, stuff like that. But as far as organized sports, I never did it until I was like in high school.
Right.
And right off the bat, my freshman year, very first year of wrestling, I'm having to wrestle varsity because at the time there we were a new program, like the program had been around but wasn't too popular, and
Right.
so I got thrown in. There was like, hey, we got no one in this spot. You're guess what? You're now varsity in this spot, and here I am, like brand new, never like never really wrestled other than playing, doing WWF with my brothers in the living room.
Yes.
I'm like, do some elbow smashes. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
out the top rope. No, man,
Someone's gonna get tombstone. I don't
yeah,
know.
someone's gonna get the stunner, and no, it wasn't like that at all, man. I went in there, I got my ass whooped. Like, it was bad, man. Like, first match I had was against this kid. Like, he was a senior, freaking solid. He 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 was just like, man, he made my nose bleed, all this stuff, and I'm just like, man, this is a sport, man. This is a struggle. And so, I mean, I didn't have any of the strength or the endurance that the like seniors had, because some of these guys have been doing it for like ever. They've been doing it since they were 4 years old and stuff. And me coming into it, I it it, it was it really, in the moment, like that season being a freshman on my first year wrestling, it really
Mhm.
taught, like, in the moment, I was like, man, I was really disappointed because I ended up having like a 4-20 record, like where I
Oh,
was like going
wow.
in and I was getting smoked like every single match because it was like seniors, you know what I mean? And those
Right.
4 wins were like the same 2 dudes from like one school, you know what I mean?
You just
So
had their
every time
number, huh?
I'd be like, hey, everybody else might beat me, but you ain't beating me. And it was like,
Yeah, yeah.
it was like their C string, you know, the
It's true.
junior JV dude that they threw out there just
They
to
came off the injured reserve and they just threw him
yeah,
in
yeah.
the yeah.
They're like, hey, you're gonna wrestle this guy with no leg, man. Hopefully you win. And I'm like, I won by a point, it was
Yeah. No knee
close.
bars.
No, 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 man. So it was just it was rough, man. But going back and looking at it in retrospect, it's like, you know, that taught me that season of losing, it taught me to develop a mindset of just having heart despite the situation, despite what was going on. Because
Right.
I could have been like after the second or third loss and been like, man, these guys are seniors. These guys have been doing it forever. These guys are they're too strong for me. I could have made every single excuse, but I stuck with it the whole season. You know what I mean? And then
Right.
I ended up continuing with it, and then like I just fell in love with it. Even though the losses sucked, I liked the process that I was going through because during the summertime, I would go like I had the we where I lived at there was this huge riverbed, and I would go and I would start running. I would run. I put on a bunch of plastic bags, the sweats and everything, so I can drop weight and start running through the riverbeds. I'd start like lifting weights on my own and doing different things to try and improve. And
Right.
I kept progressing, and I played football my sophomore year. Didn't really have too much into it because I was like more enthused with like wrestling and everything.
What position did you play in football?
I played nose guard and then left guard and mostly
I
and
hated
mostly
playing on the
bench there,
line.
man. Yeah,
I maybe I was just like one of those like I like to hit, because
yeah,
I was like, believe it or not, I mean, even though the guns are out, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I was always like the shortest and
yeah,
skinniest kid in school.
yeah,
Like I didn't hit 6 foot until like my junior year in high school. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And like I like to play receiver because I always felt like I could jump higher than most people. If you threw it anywhere, my hands were just nice. Or like I learned to eventually play quarterback because I was so strong at throwing the football, I can launch it deep. And like during school, you
Dude,
always have those like
you,
little nerve balls for lunch.
no,
Just
what I remember. You just made me think of that time we played. What was it? We were on an off cycle. We were on break,
right,
and first sergeant made us come in, and we had to do like just a whatever PT session, right? And
right.
we're over there playing freaking dodge. We're playing dodgeball,
Oh,
and
I do remember
oh,
that in the gym.
dude, you were murdering people, man. I was like sitting there. At first, I was like, all right, let's go, bring it, bring it, bring it. And then you're like, wham, and you like hit someone in the head, and I was like, oh shit. I was like, this dude can throw, man. I was like, all right, hey, I'm gonna go get some water. I came back
Yeah.
like 20 minutes later.
Hey, I was getting my licks back from everybody talking crap throughout the cycle. I was like,
I know,
oh,
man.
I'm new, so y'all want to take advantage. Man, I want all the smoke.
Dude, I remember you were throwing some heat, and I was like, damn, how's he throwing dodgeballs like that, man?
I forgot all about that, but yeah, that was
Yeah,
it. And then we did some basketball in between time too. So that's definitely some good times.
yeah,
That's crazy. So you played a little bit of nose guard and on the line
yeah.
for football. So like, what was it about football that just where you felt did it not click, or was it just like I wasn't really feeling it, or
I mean, it didn't really like I understood most of it, but it just wasn't. I don't know, man. It just I didn't feel as drawn to it. You know what I mean? Like
mm,
I didn't feel as motivated. Like yeah, it was cool to go in and do like some group activities where we were getting to play, and I got to meet a lot of guys that I still stay in contact with. But it's
right?
like I at the same time it wasn't something that I was like, oh man, like I really feel like it was challenging, but not challenging like wrestling was, And you know, my like towards the end after my sophomore year, I was just like, you know what, I'm done. I don't want to play football anymore. And I tried to do just wrestling, and then my junior year, I only went through about I only went through a couple weeks into my junior year of wrestling.
Oh
Just
wow.
because, yeah, I ended up actually like blowing out my knee because
Ooh,
I was wrestling one of this our heavyweight,
okay.
and we were just doing it in practice one day, and at the time I was like 160, 165, and then he was 265, so like 100 pounds
Mm.
more because this dude was just like a straight up gorilla, like played he played freaking D line.
That dude
Um,
was a beast.
yeah,
Coming
he
back
was
from the
huge,
NFL
dude.
to come wrestle me, huh?
Yeah, pretty much, dude. He was a huge dude. I forget his name. We used to make fun of him because he had a huge ass freaking mole like right here, you know.
Just
But
slapping
anyways,
kids around on the mat, though.
yeah, oh, dude, he was huge, man. He was huge. But I went to go try to like obviously it's one of those things where you're young and you're just dumb, you know. You just want to try to do different things, and so I tried to throw him, and when I threw him, he went one way and I went the other way, and we both came down on my knee, and so like I ended up tearing some stuff in there. I had to get like surgery and stuff, and then after that that was a wrap, man. And around that same time, that's when the whole, later on that year, that's when the 9/11 thing happened.
Right.
And once that happened, man, like I said, I just started, I started wanting to, because I had no intention of ever joining the military. Like my junior year, we would take like the MEPS test and all that stuff, and the recruiters would come in, and I'd be like, man, I'm never joining the military. Like I gaffed off the test, and I still got like a really high score. You know what I mean? Like I was just
Did
like,
you have family
whatever.
that was in?
No, man, I'm actually
And
the
you knew
first one,
nobody
man.
that was in the military?
I didn't know anybody that was in the military, bro.
Wow. That's
Like,
crazy
like
because
it's funny, man, because it's like, you know, it, looking back at it, I laugh at it now because, my senior year, we had to do a senior exit project where,
okay.
we did a project on something that we wanted to do in the future when we grew up and stuff like that. And,
Right. I remember
and,
that.
I was always really, in like drawn to the stock market. Like, um, I, I, I would go to Starbucks, during school, sometimes I would go to Starbucks in the morning. I would buy like a New York Times or a newspaper or something, and I would pretend like I knew what it said in like the stock section and all that stuff. I just look at the
Right.
numbers, and it all started for me when I saw uh it, I forget the name of the movie. It was a John Leguizamo movie. I think it was like Carlitos Way or something like that,
Oh, okay.
and it's just, you know when you grow up in obviously in a Hispanic, in a, too, man. And when you grow up in a minority culture, it's like you can only get out of certain lifestyles if you either are like a drug dealer, or you're
Play
or
basketball or
you're
something. No,
or playing some kind of sport, man. And like, A, I don't play soccer. B, I'm not athletic. I ain't got no skills like that. You know what I mean? So I was just like, when I saw that movie, it just showed that, like, hey, there's another way, a completely different way where you can make a lot of money, and it's different. You know what I mean?
right.
And ever since I saw that, I made that connection, and I was like, holy crap! Like here, this dude was where he thought he was at the top of the world being a drug dealer, but now this other dude that he just met from Wall Street is like killing it and making way more money than he could have ever dreamed of. It's just, it was crazy for me to see that. And so I made that connection that, what, maybe that's somewhere where I needed to be. But obviously 9/11 changed, detoured that route for me for a while.
Right.
Yeah. So
That's crazy. So if you had to like pick something that was like your main um motivation to join the military, are you saying because your situational awareness, like you knew where you were at and I knew that I had to find a way to get away from it? Was it, now you kept mentioning 9/11. Was there something about it to where you're like, okay, I feel patriotic. I feel like it's my duty to serve my country. Because obviously it wasn't because of people. Like, and a lot of people, they end up joining because like their dad or their grandpa or something like that, and they speak highly of them. And, they remember the memories of, maybe like I do, of my dad waking up in the morning, house smelling like Stay Flow, ironing their camis and spit shining boots,
yeah.
but since you didn't have that, like, what would you say was your main motivation to join the military?
Honestly, man, I really think it was. I know for a fact it was 9/11, because
Mm,
I remember walking in. My first class that I had on that day was a French class. It was my elective, and so I remember very vividly, just walking in the class, and they bring that rollout, TV with with the VCR and everything that they plug into the wall.
I forgot all about
Yeah,
that.
man. So they roll out that big 27-inch giant tube TV
That's
on the wheels.
crazy.
They roll it in, and they're just like, you know, hey, we're gonna show you guys some stuff, and we put on the news because something happened, something went down in New York, and we think it's a terrorist attack. And so they put it on, and just everybody was silent. Like normally we're all messing around, no one's paying attention in this class. The teacher's pretty cool. She doesn't care. She's getting paid, and
Right.
and so we're sitting there, and I just remember being like really shocked, man. Like what the hell? Like this is going on here in our country, and I just felt this huge like I couldn't walk away from it. Like I needed to do something. You know what I mean?
Right.
And even if it meant like at first I didn't know what the Marine Corps was. Like I didn't know there was any other branch other than like the Army and the Air Force.
Right.
And
So no
so
Navy, huh? Yeah.
no, dude.
If there's Navy out there, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, but honestly, bro, like, because like I said, I didn't have any other like family or friends or relatives that were in the service. So all I knew was the Army, And
Right.
by chance, I happened to come across a good, Marine Corps recruiter that was like, "Hey, man, like like there's a service out there that's way better than all of them, and like check out this uniform." And once I saw those dress blues, I was like, "All right, man,
Dude, you got me, all right?
I was like, all right, those look pretty good."
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's what led me to it. It was just a huge sense of just a call to duty, man, a call to do something and serve something greater than me,
Right.
because in the moment I was just like, I thought about going to college and stuff, but I was just like, you know what, I'm not disciplined enough. I don't have the grades for it. I've been slacking off too
Mm,
much in school, and it was just I'm glad I did it because it ended up working out for me pretty well.
right. No, that's awesome too. And I know you spoke a little bit about like when we talked about your entrepreneurial spirit. We talked about you said you had some type of interest in stocks and whatnot. So we're definitely
Mhm.
gonna get to that. But if you can kind of like speak a little bit about your Marine Corps experience from the time of PSC Frausto to the time that you actually transitioned out, and then also how the stocks kind of fit in before and afterwards. So we can give that quick little timeline. Yeah.
Yeah, how we doing? We're doing good on time. We're all
Oh,
right.
absolutely,
All
absolutely.
right,
So
good.
I try to do like the first half is more of
Gotcha.
story, and the second half is it's going to tie in anyways because what you bring is the whole grit mindset and
Uh,
transitioning out. So realistically, it
yeah,
it
man.
all ties in together. So yeah, we definitely got time.
Yeah, man. So like I ended up signing up. I ended up leaving, like, graduated, shipped off, went to, back in '04, went to the Marine Corps. I got off, man, instantly, like, the feeling, man. Like got off that bus in San Diego or got off the flight in San Diego, and I was just like, like, what did I get myself into, man? Do I really like
Right.
I started questioning my everything. I was like, dude, do I really want to be here? And obviously I went through all of those steps. I in boot camp, which I gotta say, I thought my drill instructors were real cool until I actually became a drill instructor. And then I realized that they were like the sweetest dudes in the entire world, man. I was just like,
Wow.
I was so disappointed, man. I was like, it's funny because, I one time in third phase, I freaking my drill instructor, his name was my third hat. He was a Puerto Rican dude, and he
Uh huh.
sounded just like Scarface, bro. His name was uh his name was Sergeant Cartagena, and he would get pissed off, man, because he'd look at us and be like, "Eyeballs," he'd be like, "Juhos, don't you dare call me Scarface. Scarface is Puerto Rican. I'm Cuban." And he'd sit there and like, go off on us and stuff. But one day in third phase, dude, I'm sitting there like polishing my shoes, getting them ready for the battalion commander's
Yeah.
inspection.
Yeah.
And this dude just looks grimy. He looks like, eyes bloodshot, like, terrible 5 o'clock shadow. Dude's he's struggling, right? And he's like, "Hey, man." He just looks at me. He's like, "Look at me." And I'm like, "Yes, sir." He's like, "Don't you ever do this job." He told me that in boot camp, man. And I remember, you know,
And you
I
didn't
remember,
listen.
Dude, I didn't listen, man. I remember being I was a brand new drill instructor on my, like, the very first, I want to say, like, right after that first F1. I was just like, I remember I was in the head, and I was just like sitting there, and I was like dripping wet because we had just barely put them to sleep for the first night. And I was just like, damn, man. His voice came into my head, and I was just like, I should have listened to him. This sucks. This sucks so bad, man. I know, man.
That's how I felt in DI school.
Yeah, man.
Man, I don't care. It's so funny how when people want to act tough, they always go, man, boot camp was fun to me. I'd go back in a heartbeat. And you're like, bro, you can't even handle simple tasks. Like, I know you don't want to be in boot camp. Stop trying to act tough, or DI school wasn't as bad as it. Listen, I'm not saying it's like the worst thing in the world, but if you're sitting up here saying DI school was easy, then you must have not gone during a certain time, because everything meticulous, T cards. Like, if there was a little wrinkle in the corner, ripped, redo it. And you know how long it was. When you're tired, you're like, trying to do those damn T cards, like.
Oh, dude, man. I remember, speaking about like grit and just mindset, man. I remember I was just getting the team I was on that very first cycle, man. Like, I was getting worked. Like, I was the third hat. I don't know how it happened, but I got bumped up to be the third hat, right?
Ooh.
On my very first cycle. And then I had good old Jolly Boy as my fourth hat, right?
Ooh.
So two brand new dudes out of DI school are
rest in
the
peace.
third and fourth hat. Yeah, rest in peace, Jolly. But we're there, and we're getting worked every single night. As soon as lights go out, bam, a freaking front and back filled out eyeballs list of stuff we gotta do until 2, 3 a.m. in the morning, and I was getting really, really down, man, and just like, dude, like, this sucks. Like, I wish there was a way to quit. If I could quit, I would quit. And I remember the very first time, like, I was like, I finally got to see my wife because she dropped off some laundry for me and everything. And we're sitting in the car, and I'm just telling her, I'm like, man, I'm miserable. This sucks. And one thing she told me that I always remember that it helped me out a lot with, just diverting my mindset when things get rough like that, is that, I was like, man, I'm miserable. I'm freaking miserable. This sucks. This is bad. And she just looked at me, and she was like, well, embrace that hate. Like, if you're miserable, make everybody else miserable. Channel that same energy, that hate, that like hate and discontent, and push it right back out. And so it's like, I did just that, man. I'm like, oh, all right, you know what? That makes sense. If I'm going to be there and I'm going to be feeling like crap, guess what? So are the recruits, and so is my team. I'm like, because I was like, they are not going to be able to, I'm like, they're going to have to be there, because they're going to be scared to leave me alone, because they're going to be like, damn, what's Frausto doing? Should I come back? Like, I can't go home because I don't trust this guy. He's going to he's going to jack up some kid, and we're all going to be under investigation or something. And so ever since then, man, that's where a lot of that intensity came, because I was like, all right, you want to work me? Guess what? I'm going to make you work too. And we're going to both, we're going to both suffer through this together, and that's something. Yeah, go ahead, man.
No, that's what I always noticed about you, because, like, that's some of the things that I remember. I don't know if you remember this. I remember we were at the well, we're not gonna talk too much about the pits. I don't know if you remember that there was a specific day where I don't want the anyways, but I remember being at the McMap, right? And I think it might have been like my first McMap session when I was there, because I was the only new hat out of my class that went to Kilo Company. And I was asking my team, I had First Sergeant Weber and what was his name? Matt. I can't remember his name. But anyways, and he was telling me, he's like, dude, no, typically Lee. There we go. He's like, typically, McMap's not that real crazy. You always try to find the hidden movements of when you can kind of chill out a little bit. And then when I saw everybody going, I was like, looking at my third hat, I'm like, bro, you just told me, like, what? You're explaining the conduct to me, and I'm lost. Next thing you know, I'm getting tore up. I'm like, what? And it's like, I don't care. And I remember you pulled me to the side, and he's like, hey, check this out, man. I'm going to show you like an easy way of how I learned how to do it. And then I would just watch you like in and out of the classroom, attack the classroom, open it back up, attack classroom. Next thing you know, it was just like, I found what I was doing wrong. I was taking too big of steps because I have long legs. And I would just see your little, I was like, oh, I got to do that. I got to figure out what is he doing? Mulch going everywhere, sweat. I was like, once it clicked, dude, it was a whole new story.
It's so funny, man, that you say like a little bird, man, because it's like when I was my first unit that I went to, I was in 3-5, and that's actually where I met Jolly. And yeah, me and him were on deployment together. But a lot of my friends from that unit, man, they used to call me Birdman because we'd be running in PT and they'd be like, man, you run like a bird, and they sit there, they say that my feet were going all fast and choppy. So it just made me think of that, man. But
no,
yeah, dude,
it was crazy, man. Like, I would say you and Gentry. What I think is a lieutenant. I don't know if he's a captain yet, but Lieutenant Gentry. Like, that dude was a savage, man. Like, and I lucked out. I didn't think it was lucky at the time, but I lucked out and got him 2 cycles in a row.
Yeah,
second and third cycles.
I learned a lot from him, man. Like, he was actually one of the dudes that, like, he was just awesome. You know what I mean? He'd always be there for me. So him, I learned a lot from. Like, there was a few definitely. But yeah, man. I mean, once I was there, I mean, once I was done with the Marine, when I was on the drill field, honestly, man, like that experience of having to undergo all of that stress and all that hard work of being there, man, it really made me like just reflect and think about, like, all right, you know what? I think I want to do something else. Like, I think I want to do, because I was seeing all the hours and stuff that I was putting in,
right?
And just all the hard work and effort. And I mean, I was able to master this stuff pretty well as far as, like, organizationally, and just being able to
crazy.
Be like, all right, plan ahead, do all this stuff. And I just kept having these thoughts in my mind, like, you know what, the effort and the amount of work that I'm putting in, I really think that I could get paid way more somewhere else for this. Like, I love it. It's cool, but I want to get paid more because I got a wife and kids that I never see. You know what I mean? So
right.
Once I started thinking more and more about that, the drill field started to actually drive me to wanting to do something else. And while I was there, that's where I started college. Like, I would never sleep, man. I would be on, like, I would be cool when I had duty. I would be working hard to knock out as much as I could during the day. And as soon as lights hits, I would hit the books. I'd be like, boom, all right, lights are out, I'm hitting the books. I start doing classes here and there, knock out my homework, go to sleep at, like, 1:00 in the morning, wake up at 4 the next day, and then, be on the boys, start training recruits again. And that's where it all started for me. I ended up getting my associates while I was there on the drill field,
That's so crazy, man. Like, you were always, that's one thing I noticed about you, is because sometimes people would say, like, I always look sleepy, like, in the beginning. Like, I couldn't, maybe because I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I was on some teams I didn't really sleep, but
yeah,
like, I don't know. I always just look tired. Like, and I would say, I'm gonna be honest, because, like, every drill instructor wants to make it seem like, oh, he was the most intense. I was never tired. Nah, I was tired. And I would say my third cycle, when I was with, it was me, Gentry, Garcia, and Stieber.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it was like, okay, cool. And then the next cycle,
was it
me,
Little Garcia or Big Garcia?
Little Garcia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Listen, I love Animal. I love the guy to death.
Yeah.
But he will slay you with a smile on his face and make it seem like nothing. Like, oh no, dude. Hey,
no,
well, you could have been asleep
voice,
all
man.
along.
Yeah, dude, I know, man. I had him as my J, my first cycle, man. He's like, we've got some more stuff to do tonight. The voice
he didn't like to sleep.
I know, man. I was just like, dude.
But you know what, though? When I became a senior, that's when I realized, because when I was a senior, I didn't really sleep. Yeah. That's when I was like, oh, because you have all type of energy when you're not running around and screaming all day, and you can kind of control things a little bit more, and when who goes home and all this other stuff. But No, I figured out the tricks and trade. I just wanted to make sure I never did that
The
to my
people dirty
people.
like
But
that, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But
Yeah,
so
dude. So
oh, go ahead.
go ahead.
I
No,
was
you
just
go
saying,
ahead.
so you talked about grit, right? Kind of like how you push through. You spoke to your wife, which is a great thing to do. A lot of people look to their family for not only motivation but for advice to how they can get through certain situations. And if you can get through those situations with your family, actually involved in it, to me that's like a better situation, because a lot of people try to do things on their own, especially like the quote unquote the alpha males, Marines. Sometimes we internalize things and we try to do things on our own. But you obviously involved your family with it, which is great. And I'm assuming you did the same thing while transitioning out. I know that's something that you want to kind of harp on, is like the transition process. So can you kind of let the veteran influencers community know like what it was like for you transitioning out, and like what some things you learned, and what do you think you could have done better if you could go back in time?
Yeah, man. So like transition wise, man, it when I was first setting up the steps, like I went from I was like, you know what, I want to be a like my last few years in the Marine Corps, I had been studying. I was taking a couple of pre-law classes, and I was like, you know what, I want to be an attorney. I want to be an
Right.
attorney, and I'm just gonna make it happen. And the biggest mistake I did was that I had the goal in mind, I had the dream in mind, but I didn't have all the planning done. You know,
Mm,
if you go outside the wire, you go on a patrol, you don't have all the briefing done, you don't have all the prior planning, people get killed. And
right.
for me, I suffered a lot because of that, like my wife was like, I'm very lucky, I'm very fortunate that my wife's, she's ride or die, she's like, whatever, like, if we got to eat beans and rice, we eat beans and rice, and I'm sticking with it. And I'm very fortunate in that sense. But it's like I dive like I'm the type of person where it's like if I want to do something, I want to do it. Like I'll dive in. I'll go full in. I'll start shooting and then ask questions later. You know what I
That's what
mean?
I'm talking about
But
right there.
but but unfortunately, when you're doing that with a family and a wife and kids, it doesn't go as planned, man. And for me,
Facts.
I got out back in 2014 in October. I had that dream, had that vision. I came to Arizona where I live at, and I went. I was lucky enough that my parents were like, "Hey, you know what? Stay with us until you get on your feet." And had it not been for them, we would have essentially been homeless, man. Because I took my last Marine Corps paycheck, at that time, and I bounced. That's all I had, man.
Oh
Rent was due
wow.
the rent was due the very next, I had to pay all my bills within a couple of weeks again. And I needed to figure out how to, where to get a job, where to land a job. I still needed to start school. I needed to feed my wife and kids. And all we have right now in the moment is a one room where my family has, was kind enough to let us stay in their master bedroom. But there was five of us in there, my wife, my three kids, we're all having to squeeze in there. And it was, for a second it felt like I won't say a second, man, for a whole year and a half it felt like I made the wrong choice, because I would
Mm,
see all my peers, getting promoted. They'd get like, staff sergeant, they'd get all these different things. And for me, like I was just like, I had this, I was like, man, I got out thinking I could make more, but here I am, essentially homeless, living in one bedroom with my wife and three kids. And I'm starting off at ground zero. I haven't
right.
finished my bachelor's. My very first job outside the Marine Corps, I was working at a Target distribution center. There I was pushing packages and slicing up boxes and reloading shelves and doing all the online orders and stuff. And I was
Right.
working, I was a temp employee at the time, and I was working next to like ex-cons and druggies and all this other stuff, man. And it was
Right.
just like, it was a huge fall from grace for me, man, because it's like, here I was, this, well-respected sergeant that just got off the drill field. And here I am working with all these people that like, just got out of jail, different stuff like that. And I'm just like, dude, what the hell did I do? I went through these bouts where, I had things happen to me where it's like, PTSD kicked in, different things like that kicked in, and and
Mm,
just and just going through all the stressors of life. And I started to really have some downward spirals, man, where there was a couple of times where I almost freaking off myself, dude, because I was just like, I made a mistake. I had determined that I made a mistake. But luckily, I had my wife's support. I had my faith that helped me to keep pushing forward. And it's like I ended up finally starting in school in December of that year, and things got a little bit better as school started getting a little bit better direction. I ended up getting a job from Apple doing like tech support and stuff like from home where I
How'd you
get like
land that?
calls. You know what, man? It was honestly by chance, man. You know, it was just God looking out for me or something, man. Because I was looking
That's
online
awesome.
trying to find jobs, and I found this part. It was like part-time college or part-time position for U of A college students, and I seen it, and like they sent me a computer and everything. The only
Oh,
thing was that,
wow.
yeah, they sent me a computer to work out of and a headset and everything. They're like, hey, but you got to have a dedicated office to work out of, and
Right.
I'm like, with no interruptions, and I'm like, yeah, I got that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Shh.
No, dude, I went, I took, the closet, the room that I was in, it had a decent sized closet. I like
Right.
moved everything out of the way. I pushed a really small desk in there, and I put the computer in there. And so when I would be working, I would just close the door and I'd be working out of my office, which was a closet, dude. I'm inside this little ass closet working, doing tech support. I'm like, yeah, what's wrong with your iPhone? Oh, yeah, reset it, do this and this and that. And it was that mentality, man. It was that mentality that, you know, you go through struggles, you go through things in life where you feel like it's the end. You feel like, man, what am I doing here? Am I waste the space? Am I this and that? But when you can actually take those words captive, those thoughts captive, and actually look past them and say, hey, you know what? This is all temporary. This is all for a great. This is part of the grinding process. You can actually push past a lot of it. Because I kept wearing down on a lot of I kept like focusing in on a lot of my failures and sitting there
Right.
and being like, man, I have a misstep. I'm a failure now. I failed. And I think that with the veteran community, a lot of us have that same issue that we start to look past to like the glory days. We say, man, back in the day, this and this and that. And then like right now, your life that you got going on in front of you, you don't focus on it. That's why you see a lot of vets that just don't succeed. You know what I mean? Because they're too focused on the past or they're too focused on their current failures. And there's this quote that I really love that's like I've tattooed it on my mind, and it's by Zig Ziglar, and it says that failure is an event, not a person. So when you think about
Mm,
that, it's a single event, or you know through life you're going to have multiple failures. You're going to fail multiple times. It's going to happen. You got to take it. What do we do when we do operations in the Marine Corps? When you have a field op or you have a mission, you have a debrief immediately afterwards, and you do your after action reports. Do commanders sit there and go like, oh man, that mission was ass, it totally failed, like
right.
put your head down, never leave the wire again? No, you actually go back and say, all right, what did we do good? What did we do bad? What can we learn so that we can adjust our SOPs and push forward for the next mission? That's the same thing that people have to do with their everyday life. Instead of taking that L and moping about it and being depressed and wanting to, off themselves or different things like that, look at it as a learning opportunity and say, oh, you know what? I can do better. I can fix this. I can do this, and I can strive forward. And it has to do with that mindset that it's not something that's gonna break you, but it's actually gonna sharpen you.
No, that's actually a really good point. So I've had a lot of people, and I don't want this to come across like I'm complaining because I
Hmm.
embrace it. I tell people all the time when I
Hmm.
say I'm always available 24 hours a day, any day or night, time, day or night, it doesn't matter. I have people hit me up at midnight, people at all different types of time, telling me the different struggles that they're going through. And I do everything I can to put myself in a position, even when I'm going through hard times, to where I can help other people because I like to give off that type of aura to people. And also that type of positivity travels pretty far. So, some of the things that people say, like they feel that they can't do certain things. And like you said, they reminisce of the times back to when things were. And even with me, like sometimes, let's say I take time out of the weight room, right? Like, oh man, I remember when I used to be able to bench this much and now I can't do it or whatever. Just like you said, a lot of people, they look back on the past and see what they were used to be able to do. So like, what's the type of advice that you tell people that have that constant like mentality about how life is, where like they just feel like the glass is half empty and not half full?
Well, you know what? I always tell people, for the people that are always reflecting on the past or reflecting on their failures, I just tell them, like, this is your reps. You know, and like if you compare it to the gym, every single little failure you have is your rep. And what happens when you go to failure in the gym? You know, the muscle fibers tear down and you actually get stronger. You build a bigger muscle that way. And
Mm,
so I tell them that, like, hey, you're putting in reps right now. All of this is going to do what this is going to do for you. It's going to add to your story. Like, imagine when you actually, you know, when you actually start to talk to people and people ask you about your background, what you've been through, you're actually going to have a story to tell if you don't quit, if you keep pushing, and if you
right.
keep going, you know. And I think that another thing that's really important to think about, you know, if you want to have a strong mind, if you want to have, you know, the grit to keep pushing forward despite your failures, is you got to stop thinking about what other people think about you. Honestly, if you can free yourself of what other people think about you, it will release you and make you capable of doing just about anything you want to do with your life. Because there's too many people, like, I kind of laugh and I feel bad for people when they say, like, oh, this is to all my haters, or, you know, something to where they're referring to their haters, you know, because 9 out of 10 times all those people, they're fictional. You really don't have haters. You really don't have, like, the majority of people aren't really thinking about you throughout their day. They're thinking
Right.
about themselves, and that's it. And it's foolish to sit there and be like, oh, what's so and so going to think? You know what so and so's going to think? Nothing, because they're not thinking about you. Same thing with, like, social media, man. A lot of people look at social media and they measure themselves to other people. They say, oh,
I'm
this
guilty of
person's,
that sometimes.
yeah, man.
I'm gonna be
And
completely honest.
you know, and you become a slave, man. You become a slave to that. It's kind of like the whole, you know, keeping up with the Joneses thing. You know, if you're focused
That's a
on what
great
other
point.
people, if you're focused on what other people are doing, it's gonna rob you of your joy of what you're doing right now. Because you know, a couple of things that, you know, like, when I see people online and they're doing stuff, I now I've reached that maturity where I feel happy for people. You know, I see you doing your podcast. I see people, you know, you see me, man. I'm always in your DMs and I'm like, hey, dude, good job, bro. You know, hey, like, keep it up, man. And
You're
every
always positive.
encouragement.
I'll give you that. Always,
Yeah,
and you're
man.
always like helping me out, like keeping my head high. I appreciate that.
Yeah, not a problem, bro. And you know, the reason I do that is because I've moved past the whole, you know, having to compare myself or having to need, you know, affirmation from other people as far as, like, on social media. Because the way I look at social media, man, it's like, it's a highlight reel. It's a highlight reel for it's like our own personal ESPN highlight reel. When you watch Sports Center, they only show all the really cool plays where people make touchdowns. That's the same thing with social media. People are only showing what their best parts of their
I
day or
like
week or
that.
month is, you know? And so you don't know what, if you see someone buying a brand new car, it's a car that you wanted. You don't know what they had to do to earn it. You don't know if they're maxed out on debt and freaking, you know, they got debt out their eyeballs and they're just trying to flex to impress other people too. You don't know the circumstances behind all those things. So why measure yourself to something that's not real? You know what I mean? Focus on yourself, ignore all the noise of everybody else, admit that there's no other people really hating on you, and just dive in, man. And that's going to free you up a lot to have this mentality that's just, you know, like, I grind now, I work now simply because I love to, like, I want to, like, I don't get tired of doing the stuff that I like to do
Right.
because I'm just focused on me. Like, anybody that follows me on my social media, like, I'll post stuff, like, I'll post memes to make people laugh, but, like, it's honestly just a way for me to, like, the way I look at it now, it's just a way of, like, hey, if you want to peek into my life of what I'm doing, cool, you're welcome to see it. But it's not for, like, I can get 0 likes on it and I'll still be okay with it. You know what I mean? And it's
Mm.
because I don't care about it. I just care that for the, like, my mom and people that follow me, like, they can see what I'm doing on a daily basis. That's about it. That's all I really use it for, you know? So
No,
those are some of the things that I would tell someone else, man, because, you know, it can only be detrimental to how your performance if you focus on those things too much in the wrong ways. You know, if you focus on what other people think, how many likes you're getting on stuff, all of that thing will affect you eventually, and it won't help you out at all.
no, you're like I said, like I I feel like you're speaking to my soul right now because listen, I'm not the type of person that likes to hide behind this camera and try to make it seem like I'm invincible. I think I do a pretty good job at showing people I'm human. Like, and when I'm wrong, like I'll be the first one to admit it. And, you know, I do that sometimes, you know, everything you just said in the last 2 minutes, I feel like you were subliminally talking to me because, you know, I'll post something and sometimes I view my progress off of what other people think, or if they click the thumbs up and all this other stuff, you know, because you start watching these videos of, oh, you have to get this many subscribers, you have to, you know, do this, and it does become addicting. And sometimes you stop enjoying what you're doing because of it. And you know, I kind of did that a little bit when I was doing my fitness videos, and you know, which I shouldn't be surprised on, because then I get videos that like blew up for me. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing with doing this podcast. It's almost like I want like instant victory, but you know, I know that I got to take my time to, you know, to develop this, and it'll come with time as long as you know, everything is pure right here. You know, so
yeah, and you know, it's you, like I said, man, it's like taking off some shackles, man, because you're like, you know, what you do now is once you can free yourself, you can say, hey, you know what? It doesn't matter what Levine has. It doesn't matter what my neighbor has. Like, they've got their piece. I'm gonna work on mine, and you're free, man. It's a really freeing like feeling, and that alone right there gives you the mindset to just keep going through any struggle you've got, because you're no longer like, it's bad enough to fail and then look and be comparing yourself to someone else, because then it's almost like you're looking up at a bar that's like impossible to reach. When you fail and all you're looking at, your only competition is yourself, all you have to do is get back up and go forward. You don't have to look up to some, you know, unattainable measure that you just put in front of yourself, because you're not measuring yourself to anybody else. You're measuring yourself to yourself, and that's it. You should be able to look at yourself in the mirror every day and say, hey, did I improve on yesterday? Good. All right, cool. I can go to sleep tonight. You know, that's all that you should be worrying about, man.
Love it. I love it, man.
Yeah.
Like, I wish we had more time, man. It's just, I'm gonna be honest. You made it so easy for me to create clips from this podcast, man. You literally dropped so many jewels, and every time you saw me go like that, that was literally me like acknowledging the fact that you just created like this whole little like epiphany moment. And I know a lot of like the actual viewers are getting out of it, because I can see the comments coming into like the chat. So, I mean, if it was up to me, I would love to have you on for like some more sessions. And I got some more live. Oh, dude, I'm telling you, man, this is so many things going on with this. But I got some more live ideas of things I plan on doing, and I might even start tomorrow. So I'll definitely be contacting you. I want to have multiple people on, and I got a couple different subject ideas of what I want to do with the channel that's going to kind of like continue on with the whole veteran influencers mindset. But
right on, man.
So if you can, real quick, because we got a couple minutes, if you can look back and speak to either PFC Frausto or Sergeant Frausto that was transitioning out, or just to the viewers in general, like if you were trying to talk to their soul, like I felt like you did to me a couple of times in the sessions, what do you want to leave? What do you want to leave them with?
What I want to leave them with is, you know, free yourself, like clear your mind and just free yourself from unnecessary expectations that you put on yourself. Like, avoid comparison to other people. Like, be your own self, and don't remember that social media is just it's a highlight reel. It's not actually people's real lives. It's the high points in their lives. Don't measure yourself off of that, because it's unrealistic, and all it's going to do for you is create pain. And most importantly, don't do anything. Don't do life by yourself. As human beings, we're creatures of community. We're supposed to be interacting with other people. If you try to go through these downturns by yourself, you're gonna fail. Like, I've personally gone through it myself, to where I felt like almost going off the deep end completely. And I'm very fortunate that I had people there for me when I did. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be here talking to you guys today. So your mental health's important. Work on that. That's what's going to give you a strong mind, is being able to remove all the weeds, all the things that you don't need in your life.
Dang. I was taking notes too, because tomorrow, you know, when we do our post podcast debrief, man, I want to bring some of these points up and have you like re-elaborate on that. But I just want to say thank you so much. I know the veteran influencers community that are out there that are watching this video, or that are going to watch the different segments afterwards, man. They thank you, man. And me personally, from Chris speaking, man, like I only try to put people on here that have had a big impact on me, at least in the beginning, the big impact on me, and then or you've had a big impact on some type of community. So there's a couple people that I'm going to have on in the future that I don't really know them personally, but I know that they have a big impact on some type of community. But I just want to say, man, thank you from the bottom of my heart, man, for being the person that you are, from text message, like texting me just to fucking let me say, hey, you're killing it, man, out there, man. Keep your head up, continue pushing, and just keeping positive vibes going, man, because like I said, just judging from the people in the chat, the people that came to support you, the people that were supporting like your different pages, you know, talking about, oh, that's my drill instructor and everything. Your reputation that like is literally high. You have a really high reputation in the Marine Corps and just amongst those that know you, man. I just want to say salute. I want to give your flowers while you're, you know what I'm saying, while you're here.
My pleasure, brother. Hey, for everybody that's watching, thank you guys for tuning in and listening. Hey, please be sure to follow my pages. Guess what? I actually did make it to the stock market. I am a stockbroker now. And hey, follow me on all my pages. It's just Hugo Frausto. I've got business pages. You can follow me on my personal pages too. I've got a website, a blog. It's called Reform Veteran, reformveteran.com. On there, I do a lot of blogs, a lot of articles, and I talk a lot about the stuff that I'm talking about right now. Transitioning out of the military, investing, family life, faith, different things that mean a lot to me. Feel free to follow me there and subscribe to my newsletter.
Yes, please. And when we push the videos out, we're gonna have all of Hugo's information, all his social media and everything. We'll be doing some more promotions until the actual video comes back out, because we're going to edit this video a little bit. And I just want to say thank you to everybody for joining. You guys are the reason why we continue to grow. Thank you for all those that donated. Thank you for all those that just jumped in here just to say what's up. You didn't have that much time. You guys are going to be the reason why this platform continues to grow. And because of that, you guys motivate us to continue. Like I said, I was saying earlier, is I have some more like actual live sessions that I plan on doing, and we're going to continue to make this is going to be huge, man. I want to get to a point to where this platform is so big that when I get a veteran to come on here, like just the support from you guys alone just helps to boost them up, you know? So I just want to say thank you to all of you guys, all the viewers. And once again, thank you to Hugo for taking time out of your day, out of your week, then, you know, sending the post out and all that type of stuff, man. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, my pleasure, brother. It's good chatting with you, man. We got to do it again soon.
Absolutely. We got to do this again.
For sure, man. All right. Talk to you later, man.
All right, brother. Appreciate you.